It's all kind of quiet out front. Marie and I have been on lockdown. Marie's over here making some pico de gallo, and Tracy's been working in the school, and no one has been here at our space for 5 days. So we thought, why don't we use this quiet time and dig through the refrigerator and maybe give a few pointers, a few tips, a few ideas to people, our friends and family and good grand customers. So I kind of dug through our refrigerator at home, and I don't want to call this necessarily pantry cooking, but because our pantry is dramatically different than everybody else's pantry, but in this case, pantry cooking seems kind of good to me. So when I looked through the fridge, we had chicken, and we at home always have just a boatload of Mexican ingredients, Asian ingredients, Italian ingredients. We're very regional in the foods that we prepare. So one of our favorite recipes that we make all the time, which I have a copy here, is Chicken Carnitas, and it's from our friend Sally Swift. Sally's the producer of The Splendid Table. She comes and hangs with us when she's in Minnesota, and she makes this all the time, and the beauty of it is it doesn't take a lot of prep. It's more like assembly than it is fancy. And because it has a lot of Mexican spices in it, like cumin and chiles and paprika, what you actually add to it is probably less important, because you're not buying to a specific recipe. This is just kind of a guideline, a place that we're trying to get to, because the chicken carnitas we're going to roll in tortillas, and we're going to add some pico de gallo, and then basically we're going to make tacos. So, super easy way to get started. We have the chicken. These are thighs. I always go for bone-in thighs because the bone and the skin, bone and skin in, actually they add a lot of flavor. And when we eat it, we're going to remove the bones, and we're going to see where the skin looks, because if we really cook it down nice, the skin kind of disappears in all the chopped up carnitas. So we're going to put those into a deep-ish pan. We're going to turn the heat on, and we're going to just start to sear the skin a little bit. So what goes in here is onion, garlic, some form of chiles, some cinnamon, some clove or star anise, and then cumin, oregano, paprika, and red chili flakes. So what I did here, of course, was to start to crisp up the skin, or start to cook the skin on the chicken thighs. And I took a half an onion, and we're going to slice that really kind of thin. This is to your choice. If you like big chunky onion, then I'd go for big chunky onion. If you like thin wisps of onion, which I like, then I'm just gonna thin slice the onions and cut them in half. And then I'm gonna add those to the fry pan, or to the little saute pan. And we are gonna add the garlic. So here at Cooks, we have I can't help myself. We have these cool garlic rollers. Everybody always sort of wrestles with, how do I get the skin off the garlic? So you put the clove in the roller, roll it back and forth, and then the skin comes off super nice and easy. And you can do a whole bunch. This is really nice if you're going to make that Italian dish, for example, that's like chicken with 40 cloves of garlic. The skin comes off super easy, and now you're ready to roll. Of course, if in your pantry you only have the jarred garlic, or gourd, the jarred garlic that's chopped up and kind of preserved in a little vinegar, I would say tomorrow morning you need to throw that stuff away and get yourself some real garlic, because that stuff is just rough. It's just rough. It doesn't even hardly taste like garlic. So these are fresh garlic cloves. We always have fresh garlic cloves in the kitchen. We're just going to smash them with the back end of the knife and then chop them up into big chunks, because we're basically going to make a braise with those chicken carnitas. We're going to add that to the pot here as well. And what's next on our list? Chipotles, or not chipotles, chiles. So my personal favorite chilies are called chile guajillo, and they have some nice chili flavor, but they're not super spicy. And here in Minnesota, we are not super spicy food lovers. I know some people who think that milk is a spice, so I don't. Ketchup, for sure, a spice. So these chiles are kind of nice. The ones in our pantry are a little dry, so they're crumbling as I'm doing this. You really want to sort of cut them in half so that the seeds come out of there, but if the seeds are in the braise, you're going to be fine, because they'll cook up really nice and soft. Cinnamon sticks. Cinnamon you'll find in Mexican cuisine. They use it a lot like in cocoa and with cocoa products. So I'm using the whole stick. If you don't have a whole stick, ground cinnamon works great. The recipe originally called for star anise, Sally's recipe. When I cook with the star anise, the problem for me in my sort of cooking experience is that all those little flakes of the star anise will crumble, and you end up with sort of hard pieces of star anise. So I probably shouldn't even talk about this, so I'm going to talk about the flexibility here. So I use ground clove, which you get a lot of the same flavor. So you were just going to shake the clove in there, and I think the recipe calls for like a teaspoon of each of these things. A little bit of bay leaves. You can hear the chicken skin is starting to render the fat. 2 or 3 bay leaves. Again, you don't eat the bay leaves, you want to take them out at the end. So the recipe then here calls for cumin, and it calls for a teaspoon. I like a lot of cumin, so I'm going to add more than a teaspoon of cumin just because we're very cumin friendly. It calls for paprika. Now again, here's the flexibility thing. You don't need to go out and buy special paprika for this if you don't have paprika in your cupboard at home. Smoked paprika works fine, sweet paprika works fine. Whatever it is that it happens to be there. If all you have is chili powder works. Just sort of think about your flavor palette. In this jar here I also have a little chipotle, ground chipotle, and that's nice because it adds a smoky sort of flavor to whatever it is you're cooking. It too is not super spicy. Then if you like, you can add some red chili flake, which is also in the recipe. I of course like spicy food, so I'll add the red chili flake. And looks to me like it's all come together. All the ingredients are there. Now we're going to add some chicken stock to the pot. So I don't know if you can see that, but it's definitely smoky. So we're going to add some stock to the pot, and the chicken skin has probably stuck to the bottom of the pan just a bit, and if you just stir it around with the liquid in there, it will release itself. And now, just to show you how easy this is, we're just going to flip the chicken over so that the skin side is up in the pan, and then we are just going to set that right where it is. I brought out, as I went through the pantry also, we have some citrus here because the beauty of citrus is it lasts a good long time. I have found that I like a little orange flavor in here. So if you have orange, put some orange peel in. If you have lemon peel is fine, or lime peel. I made it with, what are those, cuties one time, and peeled the cutie skin off, which is kind of a mandarin sort of flavor. And you just cook it in there, you don't have to eat it at the end. But it adds a little citrus note to it. And in this case here, we could put the lid on it, but I put a lot of liquid in there. So I'm going to just sort of stew it, braise it with the lid off. And now the beauty of this is you can sort of pre-cook this or pre-prepare it, and then you can leave it on the stove top because it's going to take 45 minutes-ish for this to cook down. We're just going to set it aside. We'll talk to Marie for a second. Your pico de gallo is? Tomatoes.
Garlic.
Cilantro.
A little jalapeno. And squeeze of lime. I also threw in a little green onion. You can use whatever onion that you have.
Yep.
And that's
there you go.
And salt and pepper.
Salt and pepper because
Stir it up.
the salt will macerate which will kind of smush up the fibers in all of those vegetables, and it will contribute a little more liquid to the salsa or pico de gallo. And you know, a point here that we can talk about is if you have salsa at home and you just want to zhuzh it up a bit because you're like, oh, I got a half a thing of salsa and I really don't want to let this go to waste, I want to use it up, then you can add a few more of those tomatoes like we did. And you can use this as your base for making your pico de gallo, or you can make it salsa. So this again is all about adding, taking what you have and add what sort of makes you smile, makes you happy. So in this case here, Marie's making it all from scratch, but if we didn't have time, we would just use regular straight up salsa. So we're gonna let this cook for a second and return. If we were on that cooking show, Chopped, it would be, how do you take this and make it into something else? So we have risotto rice without, it didn't get to the point of super creamy and no cheese. So I thought about Mexican rice, which basically it's onions and garlic. So I am just going to use the onions that Marie had chopped up for the pico de gallo. I'm going to use the white part, if you will, and scallions are not great for sauteing, and everybody would say, oh, this is crazy, but we're pantry cooking and we're not leaving the house if we can avoid it. So what we have are these scallions. So I've been heating up the pan a little bit, probably heated it too much. I'll add a little olive oil in there, and now we're going to add the scallions. So I put in the scallions. We have a couple of cloves of garlic here, which we're going to add to the mix. We only have one. So I'm going to smash it with the side of the knife. Here too, big pieces are fine because we're going to saute the garlic in some olive oil. We just kind of want it big and chunky. Watch your fingertips. We're going to add that garlic to the sauteing white part of the scallion onion. And we're going to add the tomato paste to the olive oil and to the garlic and to the scallions that are in there, or regular old onion. We're just going to saute the tomato paste just a little bit in the onion. Just adds a little more depth of flavor to that. Really super simple. Now we're going to add the rice to it. So when you look at this, sometimes they'll add peas, carrots, that kind of thing. Well, in this case here, we had a half open bag at home of just carrots and corn and beans and peas. So we are going to mix that in there. It's looking sort of tomatoey enough, I think. And now we're going to add some chicken stock, which is sitting here on the stovetop. And we are going to cook it in that stock just enough to reheat the rice. Now, we'll want to add a little cumin to it, just because to me that feels like it's the eternal Mexican flavor, don't you think, Tracy? I would add some chipotle. This is chipotle powder. We could use those guajillo chilies that we had earlier. We'll add a little chipotle. Make that a little smoky to go with the smoky of everything else. All right, so now we're getting super close to getting ready for dinner. We're gonna cook this probably 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 minutes. Again, we're trying to make that warm. So if by chance this all cooks down while we're standing here, it's a super easy thing to rectify. You just add a little more chicken stock, or you add a little water to it just to keep it running until we get a nice consistency, and we want it to be dry before we have dinner. So at this point, the carnitas, I'm going to grab my spoon. We just want the meat to fall off the bone, which it is. It's falling off the bone quite nicely, actually, because we're just going to eat the meat, and the bone will very much stay in the pan if we chunk it around a bit. We're going to put this back on the stove, because now we have things broken up, and we're going to warm it up. We're going to get it nice. We're going to keep it kind of boiling. It's all coming together, I think, for our ad hoc impromptu dinner thing. Okay, so our Mexican rice, Mexican style rice, has cooked. It's still a little wet, candidly, I like it a little wet. I just think there's more flavor there. Sometimes it can be a little dry and grainy. So it's still steamy, a little bit wet, which is great. Marie and Tracy, who are here hanging out, they're gonna taste it to make sure it has a good amount of salt in it. Because as my children will tell me, I've wrecked my taste buds with hot sauce. So you can see hopefully in here the texture. It's really just kind of crumbly chicken, which is perfect for tacos. So we got our rice, we have our crumbly chicken carnitas, and then my friend Tracy, who's been working up here, she is gonna, she's known for a lot of really good things and good qualities, but one of my favorite talents of Tracy's is she takes just plain old tortillas and makes them taste super good. So Trace.
It's very technical.
Very technical, I know. How do you do it? Because everybody does this at home and they do it a million different ways.
Yeah. So range on, medium to high, and then we're just gonna warm them up until they're nice and warm. I do like a little bit of color on them because color will add more flavor. The char will give you more flavor, just like you do with grilling a meat on the grill outside at home. Kind of nice.
Okay, while Tracy's doing that, Marie's, your pico de gallo is pretty well done here. It's nice to let it sit and macerate for a little bit, so thank you for having prepared this while we finish the rest of the lunch. The pico de gallo is perfect. I also like to add, well, this is Mexican crema, which is crema agria, which is like a little runnier than sour cream. They also make a little sweeter version. So this is kind of like sour cream. They also have one that's sweeter, which is more like creme fraiche. I like the sour tone of this here. So for this moment now, we're going to drift into one more thing that I think is really good. There are textures and there are flavors. Right, Trace? Trace is laughing at me. Because I think the fifth, instead of it being the fifth flavor is or texture is umami, I think it's crunchy. So it should be sweet, sour, hot, spicy, crunchy. So I'm gonna make this little taco shell here. We're gonna serve the rice on the side. So I'm gonna grab some carnitas.
So you're saying salt, fat, acid, heat, and crunchy?
And crunchy. That's what I'm talking about right there. Trace, you got it. Crunchy should be if I were writing a book, it would be crunchy probably first.
Yeah.
Okay, so the carnitas are still sticking a little bit on the bone, which is fine. We're gonna add a little more here of the carnitas. And the fact that we use the guajillo chiles means that if we get some of the chili in with the chicken, we're not making ourselves crazy because it's too hot, too spicy. So we'll put a little of the chicken carnitas down there. We'll put a little bit of Marie's pico on here. Pico de gallo. It's got the cilantro in there and the lime. So we're adding a little lime texture, a little drizz of the Mexican cream. Which basically, truth be told, we could be serving dog food. And if we put Mexican cream on it, everybody would be happy. I think the last thing that we're going to add here, in terms of green things, is I did stop by the co-op this morning. And the good thing is they have greens. They have fresh ingredients there. And I'm sure they would like everybody to remember that as you're going through your day. Be respectful about social distancing. Don't all crash in there and don't buy up all the arugula before anyone else has a shot at it. And then the last thing, the crunchy, would be a little bit of tortilla chips, fried crispy. That's just me. Remember like when we used to put Lay's potato chips on our peanut butter and jelly sandwich and smash it?
You mean used to?
Used to, still do.
Still do.
So this is my version of that. Now you can roll it Chipotle style, but I can never really get that down because I'm not patient enough. Roll it up into taco-y, burrito-y kind of thing. Grab a little scoop of the rice on the side. At this point, I'd say dig up either a Sauvignon Blanc, something dry, wine that you still have in your pantry downstairs, or a beer, any kind of beer you really like. Or for the kids, sparkling water is good. Definitely not high fructose corn syrup, anything, because they're kids, they don't need that.
A little tequila too.
Little tequila for mom and dad for sure, that could be good. So, I think we're where we need to be, aren't we?
Absolutely.
Will, do you want to come and have a bite since you're from behind the camera?
Goodness,
Yeah.
ever.
We're gonna break that camera plane. Okay, well there you go. You can.
Thank you.
This can be your.
This is my shining moment.
Your shiny moment. And even if it's bad, you get to say it's good. It's kind of how that works.
Oh, that's incredible.
Not too spicy.
It's a yes. No, that's great.
Excellent. Okay, so dark times, difficult times. You can see we spent about an hour making dinner. It's the perfect time in your kitchen at the end of the day, all with ingredients from the kitchen, from your pantry. If you don't have a Tracy, you do have a partner or somebody in your home that can pitch in with you. Your kids. It's a good thing to have the kids burn up a few tortillas to distract them from what's going on outside. So thank you for tuning in. All this stuff again is on our website, cooksofcrocushill.com. We have a blog, upper right hand corner. You can punch on that. Stay safe, stay sheltered, and enjoy your kitchen. Here's your chance to maybe broaden your horizons just a little bit.